The art and the literature of a culture often tell a story that you don't see in a history book. And the reason why you need to take a closer look at the art and the literature of a culture is because oftentimes artists make social commentary about a culture that most people will not see in a history book at all. So it really pays to pay attention to the statements that artists make about the history and the culture of a people. An example of this would be the show Family Guy. And on the show Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane clearly makes a statement about this Afro American Negro and relationships between black men and black women. On the show, he has a black character called Cleveland Brown. And the Cleveland Brown character is a soft, passive, emasculated, weak male. Now, he's making a statement about the African American man with this character. And his wife, Loretta, is a sapphire type character who's very loud, um, very bossy, and very assertive. And Cleveland, when he was living in Quahog, he was a deli owner. He owned a business, Cleveland's Deli. And he participated in adventures with Peter Griffin over the course of a couple of years. And then his character got a major character development, which really made a profound statement about this Afro American Negro. And in this episode, the his wife Loretta decides to start cheating on him with his friend Glenn Quagmire. And her reasons for cheating on Cleveland make a powerful statement about regarding how black women, see this Afro American Negro. In the episode, she says that she's cheating on Cleveland because she has no respect for him and he doesn't act like a man. Basically, this was a really profound statement about how McFarlane pretty much observed and saw Afro American men. He saw that many of these Afro American Negro men are soft, weak, emasculated, and he was making that comment, about these Afro American men. But in most cases, it was going over African American men's heads, and this woman felt so frustrated about this man's weakness that she went and decided to express her contempt towards Cleveland by having this affair with with his friend Glenn Quagmire. Now Cleveland and Quagmire pretty much patched things up at the end of the episode, and he divorced Loretta. But at the end of the day, there was a powerful statement, made about African American men and African American women in this episode that many African Americans just did not get. Now, McFarlane was making the statement, that black men are pretty much soft and weak and that people have absolutely no respect for them. That even his own woman had no respect for him. Now, Cleveland Brown later on got his own show, The Cleveland Show. And in this show, again, McFarlane makes another commentary about this Afro American Negro. If we look at the show, Cleveland packs up and moves back to his hometown of Stool Bend, Virginia. And when he moves to Stool Bend, Virginia, he pretty much starts what I saw as a decline. Now in Quahog, Cleveland had his own deli, he had his own business, and pretty much was equal economically. He was actually doing better than Peter Griffin, who was working for someone. Um, and when you look at Cleveland in Stool Bend, he goes from being a business owner to going to work at the Waterman Cable Company, pretty much showing a clear statement about how he began to decline. And further showing his decline is his involvement with the Donna Tubbs character. Now, Donna Tubbs is a divorced woman who has two kids by a dysfunctional, deadbeat Negro male. And what happens is Cleveland goes from owning his own business, owning his own home, to marrying this high school girl who he had a crush on, going to live in her home, and going to work at Waterman Cable. A complete, drop in life standards. The man pretty much was on a decline. And again, that was making a powerful statement about this Afro American Negro male and his decline. He goes from having his own, controlling his own economy and controlling his own business, controlling his own business, being almost doing better in some ways than Peter Griffin and Joe and Quagmire, and to marrying a single mother who has two kids of her own, um, and working at the Waterman Cable Company for a white guy. That pretty much shows you, a clear decline. Another statement that was made in regarding the Cleveland Brown character in Family Guy is his son. Now, his son in the first episodes of Family Guy was a hyperactive, skinny kid. Later on, in the Cleveland show, he becomes a obese, effeminate male. I mean, basically, this boy is on his way to becoming a homosexual. I mean, if you look at the Cleveland Junior, the boy is so effeminate, it's not even funny. And that's another, powerful statement about the culture in the African American community regarding black men and black boys. What he was basically saying is that this black male, when he's raised by this emasculated black man, who's supposed to be the father in the home, and this domineering mother, what you're going to wind up with is a boy who is going to be pretty much a gay male. And this is what he was saying about this Afro American Negro. But you can't say that anything in the commentary he's making is inaccurate, because if we look at the Afro American community, we pretty much see a lot of this, going on regarding the total decline of this Afro American community and this Afro American family. Now, in blending these two families together, we see that Cleveland, as his son is living in the same house as Donna's daughter, and Donna's daughter is a black girl with a blonde streak in her hair, and she's out here going out and getting involved with a white guy. Now, that's also another powerful statement about how little respect your Afro American female has for black men. Um, I believe that, when they did this character, what they were saying, making the statement is that, because the black father walked out, then we have this emasculated black man moving in. This black woman is, again, expressing her contempt for these weak Afro American Negro men by swirling and getting involved with a white guy, just as much as Loretta did in Family Guy when she expressed her contempt at the weakness of this Afro American Negro male, Cleveland, in that episode, which is making, again, another powerful statement about relations between Afro American Negro men and Afro American Negro women. In all the, when you look at the Cleveland show, in a broad perspective, you see a commentary made about how dysfunctional these Afro American males are, how weak and how soft these Afro American males are, because almost every Afro American Negro male presented in this show was pretty much dysfunctional, soft, weak, submissive, and real simpish. And when you look at the show, in a big picture. Again, it's making a powerful statement about how the world views Afro American Negro men. Now, Seth MacFarlane isn't the world, but this is his image and how he presents, your Afro American Negro man, because he could have gone in a different direction in making commentary about, Afro American males. He could have made a completely, statement, but I believe he made this statement because this is pretty much what he observed. If you look at his other shows, Family Guy, American Dad, he's often presented your Afro American woman as an obese, loudmouth, dysfunctional female, and he's presented your Afro American male in many cases either as, a kind of brute, or in most cases like you're soft, weak. But in many ways, they're just hyper masculine. The brutes are hyper masculine and insecure, and the other males are passive and soft and submissive, like your Clevelands and your Cleveland Juniors. And these are all, again, making statements about the dysfunction of your Afro American Negro. Now, why am I talking about this? Because it relates very much to today, because this is the social commentary presented in this the social commentary presented in this program really reflects how these Afro-American Negro men and Negro women are relating to each other. And a lot of people are not looking at the commentary that goes beyond the satire, because with satire, in many cases, you're poking fun at things that are actually going on. And there's a very, very powerful statement there, but it goes over the head of many of these Afro-American Negroes because they don't have any critical thinking skills, and they cannot, you know, really take a look at the images that are presented in media and the commentary made by those images. And this show really makes, some condemning statements about African Americans and how we relate to each other. Um, when we look at the Cleveland show, again, it makes some really, really, harsh and hard statements. And you look at that episode of Family Guy, it's really making some statements about how African Americans view each other, and a lot of people aren't really taking a look at our media, with a more critical eye. If you looked at this media a little bit more critically, you can see the social commentary being made regarding this Afro American relations and the decline of this Afro American family. Because I saw just taking a look at it and going, he's really making a statement about how much African Americans have declined. I mean, you look at the big picture of the Cleveland Brown character. He goes from owning his own business and being able to take care of himself and his family to losing his wife, moving back home to his hometown, um, going to go work for someone else, going to go live in another woman's house, having all of that fail, then returning to Quahog and, pretty much becoming directionless. That's a lot like your African American Negro community. And your African Americans, they're not seeing where they're going and how they're pretty much, going nowhere. They're just looking at it and going, ha ha ha, it's just comedy, or though that guy is really racist, he's making a racist statement. Not understanding that people get their ideas for art and literature and from real life and American culture. And we look at this Cleveland, and he really reflects how much your African American community has declined. Much like Imitation of Life, when I made the video about Imitation of Life, where I talked about how that movie really made a comment about how African Americans really didn't want to take responsibility, and they really love white folks so much that they didn't want to take responsibility for their running their own lives and running their own communities and having something equal to white people, having your own home and having your own car. Delilah didn't want that. What she wanted to do was be up under the white woman who helped her, who took her ideas and took her pancake recipe and turned it into a business. She didn't want to do the work. What she wanted to do is stay up under the white person and get the crumbs under the table. This is almost the same comment that your Seth MacFarlane is making, and the sad part is your Seth MacFarlane is just another liberal, white liberal, and he's making the same statement that the people who made Imitation of Life made, 60, 70, 80 years ago regarding this Afro-American Negro, and, showing us in pictures with social commentary, the complete and utter decline that this Afro-American Negro is in. I mean, we've gone, I can go from Imitation of Life to this Cleveland Brown character, and I can see, parallels in them that, really are sad and disturbing, when you really think about, it, and many of these African Americans are just not looking at the media and the comments that are being made about them and the statements that are being made about them because, again, art and literature will tell you a story that you will not read in a history book. They will make a social commentary about the time and the history regarding the people in that era. And I urge you, to take a more critical look at the art and literature in your culture because they are making statements that you will not see in a history book. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.